This is the SnuggleBounce 22FTx8.5FT Inflatable Water Slide Park. I've been using this for a while now, so I figured I'd share some thoughts. My immediate reaction was that this thing takes up more room than I expected. I knew the measurements before setting it up, but 22 feet feels much longer once it is spread across the yard. It is also about 8.5 feet wide and close to 9 feet tall when inflated. I had to move a few things around to give it enough open space. The setup process is simple, but there is more to it than connecting the blower. I spread it out on a flat section of grass, checked the ground for sticks and sharp objects, connected the blower, and secured the stakes. The inflatable itself filled with air in around a minute or two. Positioning it, attaching the water line, and checking the anchors took quite a bit longer. The blower needs to stay running while the slide is being used. It makes a steady noise, which is normal for something this size. I stopped noticing it after a while, but I would still keep that in mind if the yard is close to a neighbor's window or a quiet sitting area. Once everything was ready, the structure felt stable on level ground. I made sure the stakes were fully secured before anyone started climbing. I also checked them again during use. The fabric moves a little when several children are playing, but I did not notice the whole structure shifting around. There is more here than a basic inflatable slide. It has a climbing section, slide areas, water sprays, and a pool at the bottom. That variety helped keep the activity moving. Children were not standing in one long line waiting for the same slide every time. Some were climbing while others were splashing in the pool. The listed capacity is around 3 to 6 children, depending on their size. I felt more comfortable with 3 or 4 children using it at the same time. With more children, I had to pay closer attention to the climbing area and the bottom of the slides. I would rather leave some extra space than try to reach the maximum capacity. The climbing section was manageable for the children I watched using it. The surface becomes slippery when wet, so I made sure they climbed in the intended direction and did not crowd each other. Adult supervision is important here. There is climbing, sliding, water, and a group of excited children all in one place. The slides worked well once the water had been running for a few minutes. I had to adjust the hose connection so the spray landed where it was supposed to. After that, the sliding surface stayed wet enough without constant adjustments. Water pressure may affect this, so the result could be different depending on the outdoor faucet and hose. The pool area is useful for splashing and cooling off, but it is not very deep. I treated it as a landing and play area rather than a swimming pool. Taller or more energetic children may reach the end of the landing area quickly. That was one concern I had before using it, so I kept the area clear and watched how each child landed. The Oxford fabric has more of a woven feel than the smooth vinyl material found on some smaller inflatable toys. It has handled normal backyard use well so far. I still would not drag it across concrete or set it up over rough ground. The bottom can pick up where if there are stones, roots, or sharp pieces underneath. I checked the seams after several uses because that was another concern I had. I did not see air escaping from the main sections, and the structure stayed inflated while the blower was running. I would still inspect the seams and anchor points before each setup. Large inflatables get pulled and stepped on in ways that small pool toys do not. Compared with smaller backyard slides I have used, this one gives children more to do. A small slide is easier to place, clean, and store, but it can become repetitive when several children are sharing it. This model takes more work, but the separate activity areas make more sense for a birthday party or a summer gathering. I have also seen larger rental-style inflatables that feel heavier and use thicker material. This does not feel like commercial rental equipment. I see it as a family backyard product. That distinction matters because I would not expect it to handle constant public use or large groups every day. The part one liked most was how quickly the actual inflation happened. Once it was unfolded and connected, I did not have to wait long. The included blower had enough power to bring the structure up without struggling. The package also came with stakes, a water pipe, repair materials, and a storage bag, so I did not need to search for basic setup parts. The less convenient part came after the water was turned off. Draining and drying took patience. Water stayed in parts of the pool area, and I had to lift sections to help it move toward the drain. I also let the inflatable run without water for a while so air could help dry the surfaces. I would not fold it while it is still damp. That can lead to odor, staining, or moisture problems during storage. On a warm day, drying was manageable. On a cooler or cloudy day, it took much longer than I wanted. Getting it back into the storage bag was also harder than setting it up. I had to spread it flat, push out trapped air, and fold it more than once. The bag is useful, but the inflatable needs to be packed fairly tightly. I now expect cleanup to take longer than inflation. Storage space is another practical concern. Even when folded, this is a large and heavy item. I would make sure there is a dry place in a garage, shed, or storage room before buying it. Carrying it alone is possible for short distances, but I found it easier when I had help. I can use it without water as a dry inflatable, which is helpful when the weather is cooler. The slides do not move as quickly when dry, but it still works as a climbing and play structure. I like having that option, though I think the water setup is where it makes the most sense. This is better suited to a family with a level yard and enough open space around the full structure. I would also recommend it more for someone who expects to use it several times during warm weather. If I only needed an inflatable for one event, renting might be easier than handling the drying and storage afterward. I would not choose it for a small yard, uneven ground, or a place where the blower noise could be a problem. I also would not treat the stated capacity as a goal. The size and age of the children matter more than a single number. My experience has been positive, but it does require planning. The children had several activities to move between, inflation was quick, and the water system worked after a small adjustment. The main trade-offs are the large footprint, careful supervision, slow drying, and awkward storage. If I had enough yard space and wanted something for repeated family use, I would consider this a practical option. I would just go into it knowing that cleanup is part of the process. It is fun during use, but it is not something I can pack away in a couple of minutes. If there is anything else you want to know about the SnuggleBounce 22FTx8.5FT Inflatable Water Slide Park, leave a question in the comments. Subscribe to the channel if you want to see more honest product reviews. Thank you for watching.